Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Love the Battle podcast. We're going to start a thing of Fridays where we're going to be going over a new impactful book that's interesting to us and hopefully you guys too. So today we're going over...
This is The Inner Game of Tennis by Tim Gallwey. Why are you laughing? Anyway,
pause.
we're very excited. We're very excited, as you can see. Tim Gallwey, this book right here is so awesome. Like, as it turns out, this was Tom Brady's first introduction to mental toughness. And the other funny story here, this is those things like back in the day when you weren't trying to capture all the information and get likes and make reels, etc. I was a tennis player, a pro tennis player in Atlanta, Georgia, and I trained out of this club in Atlanta that was indoors, and it actually happened to be the facility where the Atlanta Hawks would practice. So, I'm in there working out. The Hawks are, so you're intermingling with the Hawks, but what that means is you see them and you maybe nod heads and stuff. You don't bother them because nobody likes that guy. So I'm doing my thing, their thing. Occasionally, I'm in the gym and I'm hooping with them and, just keeping a low profile, but slowly but surely I develop a relationship with a few of the guys. And, Moses Malone, he liked tennis. Like, he was a tennis guy. So, he was in the midst of the time, and this is a long time ago. I'm an old guy. But this one day I walked in there, and the word was that Tim Gallwey was in the house for whatever reason. He was in Atlanta, and he was going to play some tennis with someone from Atlanta. They were meeting, and I knew that Moses was a tennis fan, and I saw him in the hall, and I mentioned to him that did he know The Inner Game of Tennis? And he says, "Yeah, that book. That's a great book." And I said, "Do you want to meet the author?" So, this is one of those funny stories. I introduced Moses Malone to Tim Gallwey, and they had a chat. I didn't stay around to, get in their chat, or I didn't make a reel or a post, but that's how things used to happen in the old days. So we're here to talk about one of the greatest early books for helping folks understand about the inner game and the outer game, period, whether it be for tennis or for life or other sports.
Okay, our first segment will go over a pretty broad idea that they talk about in the book. It's one of the first ones that is introduced, which is a battle between two selves, internal selves, and this is within yourself. So it's the war within, which is the core idea, and that's the ego, that's self one. And then there's the true instinctive self, and those two are always butting heads and stuff. And so the inner fight is always trying to find a balance between trusting your instinctive self more than letting the mental thoughts and that self come out too often. I think an example is when you're in a match, when you're doing any kind of task, and there's that mindset and that voice in your head saying, "Oh, how can you mess up this? How can you do that?" Or, "Oh, I need to be doing this and this and this," and it just goes on. And it's like, why are we talking in the third person? Why do we do that? Especially athletes. I think it's a big thing with athletes, or people who are hard on themselves and look for results. So, yeah. So yeah, I think our background, and Love the Battle, the essence of becoming lies in quieting self one and really going after instincts and feel, just letting stuff happen rather than constantly listening to the voices in your head. So.
And once you even know these answers, like even if you know the answers, it's still a real challenge to create I call them the loops in your head, or the thoughts you think. I mean, really, ultimately, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of voices in my head through my life, and you're basically like a conductor of all these voices in your head, and you're like, there's so many voices in my head. Which one do I listen to on a given day? But all you got to do is be like, you're like, hey, G5, get that guy out of here. And then how lucky are you guys? You had the Disney movie Inside Out. I mean, these guys even had exposure to that concept. Like, these thoughts in our heads, like, we youngsters back in the old days in the 70s and the 80s, this book was unbelievable because it really opened up the whole thing. Every pro team in the world has a sports psychologist now. Like, it didn't even used to be a thing. So, realizing that what kind of game did they call tennis?
Mental sport. It's
a mental game, and kind of the coolest thing about this is everything's a mental game, and the more you learn how to manage the power source of the greatest machine you'll ever know, like your mind, it can do anything. And we usually let it run. You let it run how it ran yesterday, and if it wasn't running the way you wanted it to, then it may not have helped you today, sort of things. But you're in charge of it. You can build a mind and a mindset, and that's kind of what we're doing here at Love the Battle. We're just you're helping think of it of like, it's not going to be easy, and I don't really want it to be, and I'm going to be the best I can in spite of that, which means understanding how your mind works and building a mindset and a clear way to use your mind that helps. And everyone's different. That's the whole thing. Like, in this life, you have to be your own best coach, and so you have to spend enough time to understand, like, rest, diet, hydration, everything matters for your mind and your body to be the best version of its true and authentic self.
Yep.
And Tim Gallwey was amazing. He was saying, what year was this? Do you have the interview here? Tim was cool. 1974. Like, and Tim was cool. Like, he wrote this as like a thesis to graduate from college. Like, he was just kind of throwing. That's the coolest part. It was like, it's so honest. It's so honest and pure, and perfectly brilliant. That's what's so great about it, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's recognizing that the real battle isn't across the net or across the court from you. It's inside, and once you're able to quiet that self-one, that sabotage, that's when you can truly begin to trust yourself and your game, and that's when you'll see real growth and real results.
So in that quieting of the mind, and in terms of what he's saying with the quieting the mind and the non-judgment is, eventually you're so busy doing a good job with each shot, being present and clear with how you execute a shot, that all you really get is one shot at a time anyway. So it comes down to the art of a perfect execution each time, and you're not spending your time worrying and judging and confusing yourself with things that don't matter. I mean, you only can be present in the one shot at a time, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, one thing that is talked about in this book, but also in different ideas as well, is how to unlearn things, and to truly learn, you must first unlearn, and that's a pretty difficult thing to master and talk about. And the exact quote in the book is, when we unlearn how to judge ourselves, we stop fearing failure, which is huge. And what would happen if we remove judgment from our daily battles, workouts, relationships, and what would that growth look like? So we can touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, I think, strangely, like, to that complicated question, it ends up being simple. You can only do one shot at a time, and it just really you combat the complexity with the simplicity of be present in the now and play each shot that you can. That's all you can do anyway. It's amazingly, the answers to all this stuff are simple, but it's so hard to be simple when you really when you're really desirous of an outcome. The performance is all you have control over. So, ultimately you just have to keep growing out of that, the tendency to judge and the tendency, because you're so present, it doesn't even exist.
All right, skipping ahead, the book talks about letting go and not trying too hard. He talks about a lot of examples in the book of his coaching experiences and how quickly people would improve when he would just do it and show them how to do it, and they would try to follow and copy him rather than him telling them constantly, do this, do this, do this. And people try to register that in their own way, and it usually doesn't work out as consistently is what he found. So trying too hard intervenes with the natural ability, and strain and control are the enemies of the now.
Nice. Well said. I like that. So, the less effort, the faster and more powerful you'll be. And, bottom line is, when you're an adult, trying is a given. So you have to rip the try knob off. Like, it starts to be like, I tried to get to work on time. I tried to get here. I tried to do it. You're fired. So like, as an adult, trying is not a thing. Like when you're a baby learning how to walk, that's a good try. That's the time for good try. Mm-hmm. But eventually, like, trying doesn't do anything. So, you're not looking to waste additional energy to get anything. And then that goes back to being present. You just, if you can, flow with the intensity of the moment, and you can counter or work with what you get, the rhythm of what you get, and you can intermingle. It's not about trying more than what you have to do. It's about rhythmically matching and sending back kind of thing. Like, I think in the old days, like, I don't know about, but we people who judge the younger generation of not working hard and all that stuff, like, it used to be a thing, like, you could be one of the best just because you tried hardest. I mean, like, come to realize, like, trying smarter is way better, sort of thing. I think that's what your generation does, sort of thing. How is that, trying smarter? Do you find that kids optimize their abilities better with less effort?
Not necessarily. Just because I feel like it's hard to grow or learn about yourself without putting in effort.
Right.
You get into a habit of finding ways out of things, even if it works, and I feel like in the end it doesn't end up working to the best of your abilities because you aren't truly testing yourself.
So people like let's say you're a gamer. Let's say if you're a gamer, like, that's not helping you get better by challenging yourself to improve at that, or.
Oh, okay. I mean, if it's a niche thing, like if it's a singular, like if you're going for one thing and you're just doing, is that what you're saying? And you're just trying
maybe, like, I think that's an interesting thing what you say. Like, that's very interesting about.
I just think a lot of less people challenge themselves, maybe physically, which in turn challenges you mentally.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's hard to do one without the other. Okay. Just because, that's the way the body works, is to move and to complete physical tasks. So
that's why we like to have Shane Gardner here. He really represents this. How old are you?
21.
He really represents these youngsters well. I'm 59, so, like, I just want to be young and strong like him. But it's so interesting to, this book is another 2 generations or generation younger than me, sort of things, and it still resonates, and that's why we're here talking about it. I mean, he mentions that awareness is the true teacher. The most effective way to change is to become more aware of what you're doing, and it just keeps getting more and more into the present. You just awareness. You can, when you're aware, what happens is you then, when you're by yourself in your thoughts and you simplify them down, then it's a matter, are you a person that's thinking about it in a way that's building or thinking in a way that's breaking it down? And so then once you get it real simple, then you have to make sure it's simple and building, or simple and growing, or if you hit a great shot, you really want to get to know that, how you do it, what you see, what you feel, what you hear, and really attach the emotions to that. Because as you get to know what you're doing and exactly how to do it, you can repeat it, and that's what we're watching in the professional sports. I mean, these guys are all so good at the foundational basics, and they practice them so much that it's hard to beat someone who's an expert at the things that make it happen. You know, and that's the level of sports these days, because there's so much money involved and so much effort and time put in. People are mastering the present, and it's phenomenal to see what the human body can do. You know,
Definitely.
So keeping that awareness of the place and the time, and the ability to optimize the now is really. It's truly, these athletes these days have taken it to a different level. Mm-hmm. It's been years of people learning how to, you know, the next thing, relax, concentration, and the balance and effort of surrender, he talks about. So in the middle of this love in the battle, like, don't forget, like, part of the love in the battle is sometimes you have to commit to surrender to win. It's crazy but it works like that sometimes. Sometimes you gotta concede and finish it off and then come back tomorrow. Sometimes you lose and get beat, and you gotta learn. You know, that's really like what he was talking about. You can't avoid the hard things, and some of the best lessons you learn are the hardest things. Do you want to go through them? Do I want you to go through them? Like, as a kid, he doesn't want to go through them, and as a parent, I don't really want him to go through them. But if he gets robbed of that, if I protect him through that, or do, like, he's robbed of that opportunity to learn, and the pure emotion of deep failure is so good for you in the long term. Like, I think things like this are this is what contributes to good mental health. Like, learning how to deal with hard things. And tennis, and ever since tennis does this. Unless it's, if you're a good tennis player, the life skills that you develop can really help you.
A lot of the stuff, you'll hear little bits and stuff of awareness, and also like being fully present. And we will talk about a few other books that, if you have read them, it sounds similar. We will talk about The Power of Awareness, which is one, and then also one you'll hear about a lot that kind of resonates is The Power of Now. So both of those books kind of talk about different little bits and segments of our mindset. So we'll talk about those books in the future as well, just if you guys are hearing that.
Trust in your body. This is big with us. Like, we believe in, like, one of the core pillars that Love the Battle is about is you want to wake up with gratitude, because you're occupying the greatest machine you'll ever know. This is like the skin. This skin will last 100 years, 90 years, 95, 85. Can you believe that? Like, and all the systems in your body. I mean, that's really what it boils down to is, you don't come with a book of instructions. Like, last time I bought a watch, I opened the box and this thing fell out. And, that's the package insert. It tells me things like, I would love to have a package insert about myself, about my body and how to use it and what it does. But literally, like, you have everything you need. You it's here. Like, and I think it's sad, lots of people aren't really trying to figure it out and learn about it and make it better. Like, to include rest, diet, water, just the simple things. Start with the simple things and then keep going deeper. You feel good. It helps you. It helps making the time. The real game we're all in is who can live the longest and have the highest quality of life, and with health and wellness. That's the real game. Frequently these kind of things that you do and talk about will help make that happen.
And also, throughout that, to live a purposeful, and meaningful life. Which I think to do that, you have to enjoy yourself, and you have to, live with yourself. So, learning about that process of how your mind works and your body works is key in living that longest, most purposeful and meaningful life.
21 years old now. See, he's well on the way. I like it. Attaboy. So there, he basically just summed up mastery through acceptance, which is Tim's 9th point. When you accept yourself as you are, you can begin to change. And, why do you think self-acceptance is the hardest battle to win?
I think it's a lot of stuff with external noise. I think people see stuff on all the social media and TV, and they get ideas of how they're supposed to be or what an ideal person looks like, all this stuff, and it's easy to let that kind of penetrate your guard and kind of dampen your abilities, because you're comparing yourself constantly to people who you'll never meet in your life that you see a 5-minute video of, and it's hard to accept who you are, and it's hard to start when there's other people like that out there and you're seeing them so frequently. I think that's a big thing in today's age, is comparison is the thief of joy, and I think that's what makes it hard to accept, or for people to accept who they are, or accept that they can be better. I think that's also a big one, is once you accept that you can become better, it's also a tough process to actually go out and do it. It's one thing to accept who you are, it's another thing to go out and actually do it and change who you are.
Nice. I think you're right. I think you have to live in those periods as you grow into the next one. I don't think, those are the kind of things that I love the battle that we're talking about. Like, to decide to do it and then to do it are two different things. Mm-hmm. Living in those spaces, because you could decide to do it and then every day you're pissed that you're not. Yeah. So you're in it, like, I've committed, and then you're failing, and these are the parts where it's sticky, because you're into it and you want to do it and you're positive. And really the comparison is, what's the comparison? The comparison is to yourself yesterday. Mm-hmm. Because I think our nature is to compare. So just want to make sure we don't compare. It's not as much about comparing to other people as comparing to, like, ourselves. And another book that we'll probably analyze is The Compound Effect. And it always seems as you continue to grow and you're well on your way, is that the concepts are just not that difficult. They're really not. You want to realize that doing the work is worth it. Avoiding the work is not. Mm-hmm. It's a comfort. That comes. You want to earn that comfort. You want to earn your downtime. It's even better when you've earned it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And I think a lot of people think like the concepts, all of these concepts that are super profound and deep, really aren't that hard to understand, like you said. And I think the hardest part that people don't realize, like, they'll hear these ideas, and either one, they'll think, oh my gosh, that's really profound, or two, like, who doesn't think about that stuff? But that's not the point. The point is actually going out and doing that concept, and that's where it gets very difficult. And actually the process can be very profound when you're actually trying to complete the process. rather than just knowing it.
I'm 100, like for example, I'm 180 days in a row or something of working out and missed 2 days from traveling or something. And, you know, I am not really going to miss. I mean, I have the discipline and the self-reliance and the belief. I've earned the right to be at the end of that, you know, kind of thing. It feels good. Like, it's awesome. Like, I feel like I recognize myself. When I don't do that, it takes me to a bad place. You know, I think mental wellness has a lot to do with physical discipline. You know, like your body. You know, food, water, breathing, rest. These things. You know, managing your body can really help. And then with the details of your inner workings of your thinking and et cetera. So, you know, to finish the concept is the inner game never ends. The game continues beyond the court, and the mind you train in sport becomes the mind you live with, and the mind you live with is the mind you use in sport. It's loving the battle of becoming the best version of your true and authentic self.
Definitely. Yeah. I think belief plays a huge role too. It's just taking that step to go and get out there and do whatever you want to do, you know, no matter how you feel about it or how difficult it may seem. A lot of it's not that difficult. It's just doing it one day, then the next day, and then 3 days. And there's a psychology behind it of, I think it's once you do something consistently for less than a week even, it becomes routine. So it's like once you do that, it's easy and it's all it takes. You could go into the gym. If you haven't been going to the gym and you want to start, you go 1 day, you go 2, you go 3 days, and boom, then it's already a routine and it's in your mind, and it becomes a lot easier. It's just that first step is usually what holds people back, and like, you just got to go for it. I think belief is huge.
Check out the inner game of tennis, Tim Gallwey.
Definitely.
Love the battle.